so most people have like this idea of what they want, and just like those boxes you want people to check and a certain everybody has like that idea, that dream. But the crazy part about it is that most people, if they got that with exactly what they're looking for, they would mess it up because they're not even the person that they supposed to be to sustain that. You know, I call it stealing from the universe. You know, I read that in a book. I didn't pen that, but it's you stealing, and you gonna have to give it back.
I never imagined my journey would inspire people all over the world.
Hello, my name is Nema and I'm from Zambia. So I love the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
For me to see people being so real, so honest, and so true about the real situations in life.
Hey, I'm Natalie from Belgium, and I would like to say thank you.
I value your content because it is Christ-centered.
You have set a standard in love.
Dear Future Wifey podcast has opened my understanding.
I highly recommend that everyone, whether you're single, you're married, you're divorced, you're widowed, everyone to go follow this podcast.
Continue with me as I discover, uncover, and recover love. I'm L.I.T Whitfield, and welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, L.I.T Whitfield. Listen, have you subscribed to the Dear Future Wifey podcast? If you haven't, make sure you hit that subscription button so that you can subscribe. Yeah, stop shacking up with us and let's make a commitment. I have been enjoying myself this month. This is my birthday month, so I coined it March Gladness. So I've been very specific about the guests that I had on the podcast this month because I want people that not only are lit, but they're entertaining and fun. People I can trip out with and laugh with. I love to laugh, as y'all been able to see in the previous episodes. Well, this guest is no exception to my March Gladness theme. This brother is an investor, entrepreneur. He's a former professional basketball player. So without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast, my homie, Marquez Haynes. Marquez, let me tell you something. Man, what you been up to, man?
Man, a little bit of everything, man. First, I appreciate you having me. This is dope, man. This whole setup, everything you're doing, your movement, this is cool. So honored to be here.
Man, let me tell you something. You know, I started this podcast because I wanted to allow people an inside look on a man's journey to healing as I manifest my future wifey. So you and I had a great conversation. I met you by way of my homie Denise Johnson. We end up having an impromptu lunch, and you joined us, and when I tell you I laughed so hard at your crazy self. Let me tell you something, this boy is a darn fool. And what I laughed about is just how real you are. So I want you to show up as your authentic self today. The conversation that we had, we'll dig deeper in that because you reached out to me last week and was like, listen, I've been on this amazing journey from our last conversation, and I was like, okay, I want to hear about it because, like I said, I was dying laughing at you before, and so I said the perfect title for today's podcast is The Process Before the Promise. The process before the promise, because I see you as a man that's going through this process, and why do you think I named it that?
Man, I mean, first of all, the name is so fitting. Just from conversations I've had with multiple people just throughout my life, and the conversation that we particularly had was just talking about, that journey, and what it looks like bringing another person into it romantically, marriage, relationships, things of that nature, what that's supposed to look like. And, my perspective, I know when I talk to people is, like you said, a little raw, a little authentic, but and maybe a little different at times. But, and we're all on this journey, so those thoughts are always being rounded out in every conversation you have. And so, even coming here, I come here with a curious mind.
Good.
Just to hear more perspective and share mine, and to continue to round out those thoughts and perspectives.
So let's talk about where you were in December when we had that conversation. We had a conversation and we just started talking about relationships, your dating life. Let's go back there and then we'll journey to where you are now. So when you look back in 2020 and the Marquez back in December, what were you talking about?
Well, I mean, even similar to now, but just a little bit more clarity now, where at the time, just really trying to figure out exactly like just those steps between. A lot of times we're on a journey of self, but we're also looking and seeking for things. And that's not just specific to relationship with others. You know, there's multiple things that we're seeking. And
right.
I think somewhere deep down, we all know that you can find things and seek things that will give you enjoyment, excitement, some type of happiness. But like when you want it to be like, you want the longevity, you want the everlasting happiness, the fulfillment, it starts inside, you know? And so I've been coming to that and I've been feeling that way, but you're not always walking it in every part of your life. You know, we pick and choose when we want to do that. No, I really want this, or I really, you know, so at that time, so just over the last, 3-4 months, I've been really making sure that I'm starting to walk in that in every part of my life and not trying to pick and choose it, you know?
So let's talk about this. Have you been in love before?
I thought I had, you know.
Why you say thought?
And that's a hell of a realization to make, because what my definition of love was at that time and what I grew up seeing, I had been in love, you know. And it wasn't until recently that I realized, like, I've never actually really been in love, just because I don't feel like up until that point I had learned how to love myself. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, you just, okay. All right. We finna go there.
Hey, no, it's real.
Yeah, come on. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So you said what you thought was love at that point. What did you think was love when you look back at that and said, oh, I'm in love? Yeah. At what age were you when you thought you were in love?
So probably first time I really thought I was in love was like 15, 16 in high school, you know, and it was, was it like exciting and like passionate? Of course, you know.
Yeah.
But it also was like, controlling, possessive, fearful, all of those things, you know, that where we think because we're so emotionally heightened, that we think we're in love. We're absolutely not in love, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're attached, you know, you're lustful. There's a lot of other things you can say, but it's not, definitely. Love doesn't look like that. And so, but you continue it takes a while before you start to kind of wake up from that. And so now my idea of, what love is, I hadn't been in love because I hadn't even worked on loving myself, you know what I'm saying, up until that point. So, and
so as an adult, the time you go back to and being in love was all the way at the age of 15.
Probably. And, at that time they'll tell you don't know anything about love, but that's like absolutely not true. And you can love, there's no time on love, and it's literally like in that moment, and at that time I thought, you know what I'm saying, and I don't, now I can look back and say, maybe they were right at that time, you know what I'm saying? But
called it puppy love back then.
Yeah, probably. So, going back, probably that was probably the first time where I felt like the emotions that I consider to be love.
So has there been those emotions since then?
In spurts, in moments, and that's.
But you wouldn't call that being in love.
Yeah, because I think that's part of the realization. And I've had those emotions in moments and spurts, and I've matured, but it still takes a little bit more awareness. I think a little bit deeper awareness to actually come to some of those realizations. Because when you really care about somebody, or they really care about you, to say that could hurt someone's feelings. Or, you know what I'm saying? But then when you start to really peel it back, it's like, nah, that shouldn't hurt no one's feelings. This is, the truth.
Is the truth.
The truth should not hurt, yeah.
So when you look back, so what do you call those relationships that you've been in from, did you make a decree to yourself after, did you go through a heartbreak at the age of 15?
Facts, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even unpacking some of that stuff, that's a big part of why I think people are not in love, not because they was heartbroken or something. It's just childhood traumas that they never even had, they never unpacked, and that don't have nothing to do, don't have to be romantic. That could be with your parent, it could be anything, and we just getting in relationship after relationship, unloading those things, and thinking somebody going, I got this problem or whatever I haven't unpacked, and I get this person with me and they gonna help me unpack it, or I'm gonna feel differently when I get with them, so I'm not gonna continue these behaviors, and that only lasts so long. So,
but you grew up seeing, you grew up in a 2-parent home where you watched marriage. How long have your parents been married?
Man, so how old am I? I'm 34. They got married, so about a little over 30 years. Yeah. 34. 33 or 34 years.
So yeah, so you
my bad, parents.
So
my dad, my fault.
You trying to say if they had you before they got married?
They already had my sister though. My mom, so my sister's already around. She's 5 years older, and then I think my parents was like, right around the time they had me, they got married. I think she might have been pregnant when they got married.
When they got married. Yeah. And so your whole life you witnessed a marriage, which is very uncommon for a lot of African-American homes to see a two-parent home, not uncovering them, but would you say that you watched a loving relationship?
Yeah, well, and that's funny too. I had this conversation with my parents yesterday about what their idea of love was when they had us, because I come into the world, they 22 and 24.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're young.
I didn't even realize I was watching them grow up. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
You don't even realize it until you get this age and you be like, oh, I see it now. You know what I'm saying? So I watched, there was so much love in our house, you know what I'm saying? Completely, there was so much love in our house. But then there was also like the typical things, like the communication issues and all these different things. And so, you watch it and you watch them evolve in their relationship, So even what their idea of love was when we were growing up, it has changed dramatically.
Yeah. And that's what's so beautiful about it is when you give each other the space to grow and evolve. Unfortunately, sometimes when people grow and evolve, they grow apart versus growing together. But for you to be able to witness and you added perspective to it, that you're watching somebody that may have given birth to you at 24 years old, and then you're seeing them at 10 years old and they're 34, then you're seeing them at the age that you are now, saying, wow, they've been in this thing 10 years prior, and that's a deep concept to actually look at. But when you look at yourself and you go, do you believe that you're at the state where you're desiring marriage, or you saying that, let me just ask you that, do you want to be married one day?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer for me, because I guess I don't want to be married in the traditional sense of what we've decided that marriage is and looks like at all. Now, do I want the experience of having another person that I'm going to walk through life with?
Right.
And in that sense, I think that would be an awesome experience to have. I also don't believe that my life is somehow less fulfilled if I don't have that. And that's been one of the hardest things to come to, I think, in general, in just that conditioning, that programming in multiple places, not just romantically, that leads where you have to go on that journey of self to even realize that, or even at times, we don't even realize even subconsciously how we're chasing and seeking things. And so that's been one of the realizations that I would love to have that experience. I believe that I would love to have that experience. But my life is no less happy or fulfilled without any experience,
So when you say that, so you say the traditional sense, and you and I talked about this yesterday. You said the traditional sense of what marriage is. And I said that I think that's what makes men shy away from marriage, is because they say, if marriage is supposed to be this, I don't want it. Instead of realizing that marriage is whatever we decide to make it. You get two mature adults and we say, this is what our marriage will look like. And you can have those conversations. So when you say from the traditional sense, what traditional sense of marriage makes you say, I don't want that?
Well, I think that it's that the idea that once these two people come together, this is exactly how it's supposed to look. You're mine, I'm yours. And now everything that we do and I do is automatically together. It almost becomes being, it's played out as a cage, in a way where I believe that, let me not even say marriage, let me take the label of marriage off. When you walk lockstep with another person in any walk of life, romantically included, it's supposed to uplift you. It's supposed to set you free. It's supposed to, and I think that there are moments in marriages where that happens, but I think that the traditional average marriage is, we grow up thinking we're supposed to do all these things, go to college, meet your mate, find someone suitable, go live here for 30 years, have a couple kids and stay in that box of things. And anytime you come outside of that or you start to grow, it is, it's met with fear or resistance, because this person that you've attached yourself to doesn't want to lose you. They don't want to see you go. So it plays itself out in very small little ways where that fear comes out. It's not this situation where we're literally like encouraging each other to grow, and we want you to grow if it includes me. If you take me with you on this journey, then grow. But if not, I'm gonna be fearful, you know.
So have you experienced that?
I mean, I've done it to people. You know,
okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah,
okay, talk.
Yeah.
So you've done it, and what happened?
Well, I mean, obviously, once again, that's that programming, because this is what a partnership, a relationship, a marriage, this is what it's supposed to look like, you know. And so I've been like, imagine, you know, you're with a girl and she's like, I'm going to Miami with my girls for the weekend, you know. Is your initial response, initially, not after you think about it and respond, initial response, is it
enjoy yourself?
Yeah, go kick it, have fun, do your thing. Like, yo, hit me, show me some pictures, I'm trying to see what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, or is it like, who you going with? What's that about? What's happening? What's going on in Miami? The thing about it, but some people, and I'm one of those people that I've been smart enough to say the latter, but I was thinking the former.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, even that, like, unprogramming myself, because that's not love, you know, and that's not the relationship I want to be in with anybody. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. So I've done it, and I've had it done to me. It's both.
So when you look at that, do you feel like, so tell me, let's unpack that. So when we say stuff like, and we've all been there, where you say, so, I mean, so who's in Miami? Like, you ain't never asked to go on a trip with me to Miami, so so what's going on? What do you think that is, coming from a vantage point of a male? Why do you think we say those things?
Well, I mean,
or even better, why did you say those things?
Yeah, well, because at first, I mean, it's all you know. It's that programming. But then, really, underneath you unpack it, it's just fear.
There it is.
At the end of the day,
I just want you to say that.
Yeah, you're just fearful. You're fearful that whatever, and most often, it's irrational fear.
Yeah.
It's not even a real. We've made up something in our head.
Create a whole storyline, a whole scenario. She probably got some dude that she done met over there. Right. That's why yesterday when I called, she didn't answer the phone. She was probably already setting that up, letting that dude know. Like, you just have a whole story.
I call it mental movies. You play a whole mental movie in your head, and then you react to that mental movie. And your girl she was just going to she just wants to get away. You know what I'm saying? And I've had it done to me. And so, you know, finally even unpacking that, be like, yo, why am I so fearful? Because if you even take it further, say if she did do the worst, I would be fine.
Yeah.
If we really, really unpack it, it's all irrational fear. But, you know, and so that's
why you say you'll be fine.
Because think about it. Okay, think about this. If I was fine before she came in my life, you know, and so that's not to say. So once again, people talk about like your partner. Everyone wants that. Like, I want someone that's scared to lose me. All these different things. No, I don't want no fear in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's not actually love. You
that's
know?
Good.
That's your ego. That's the emotions.
That's control, manipulation.
Yeah, all of those things. And so I was fine, and I'm going to be fine if you leave. Not because like I don't love you, I don't care about you, I don't want you. It's because like love isn't fearful. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's best for you, if that's like your absolute path, and you need to go through that, you know. Now, are there emotions involved with that?
Of course, am
I disappointed? Are these things? But out underneath all of that, if I love you, go do your thing. And I'm not even, you know what? You might have did something foul to me too, maybe, possibly. You might have did something foul. You know, and so I can, from there, if I loved you, that don't change because you did something foul. It just, my boundaries got to change. You know what I'm saying? I can't have you in this space of my life no more. You know what I'm saying? So you do your thing. I got to be over here, you know. That's cool. But it don't mean like, oh, well, I didn't love you. No, I loved you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just can't love you like this no more.
That's good. So. That's good. That's good. That's good. So how long have you been feeling that then?
Well, I've been wrestling with that. I mean, because these are thoughts like, we know how you know what your ego telling you. You know what I'm saying? You know so you got to like think about it from both perspectives. One of my biggest challenges has been not letting my ego rule. But that you can't just do that when it's beneficial to you. You see what I'm saying? So even in the times where I don't want to apply that type of thinking, I have to at least consider it. You see what I'm saying? Just to even like, okay, like damn, like I'm really upset about this, and I really am. Then you got to come out of it a little bit and really just. So I put myself in all kind of situations that I even mentally that I don't want to be in, just to play it out in my mind, and how would I meet these moments? You know, I think about stuff. If I met the love of my life and the love of my life said to me, just walk to me, and our relationship was perfectly fine, it's everything I wanted. And the love of my life walks to me and says, I don't want to do this anymore. You know? How do you respond to that? If you love this person, are there negative emotions towards that person? You know, or is it love like you said it was, and it's like, yo, go do that? Is it? You know, those are real questions to ask. They're real questions to ask.
That's a different level. You're talking about the love of your life. Y'all rocking together. Y'all kicking it, say about 6 months, a year. And then she walks up to you and says, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, she did nothing foul to you. Everything she said, look, God, my life, the universe is calling me in another direction right now, and I gotta listen. What do you say? What do you do? Are you bitter? Are you angry? Do you guilt trip her? Do you try to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you do? Or do you absolutely, because you love this person, do you love this person if?
You have to let them go.
Do you love this person if? We love people if. You see what I'm saying? And so it's not if. It's not if you act how I want you to act, if you do this. It's not if. You know, if you really love this person,
it's called unconditional.
But the fearful that the most of the, and when we talk about marriage in the traditional sense, it's more based on fear.
Yeah.
And so that's what I say I don't want. But I can only, you know, get to that by going through this journey of self. You know, if it's real, you know, if it's really real, you know, most people, they want it. We live in this world. We want it to appear. We want the appearance.
Yeah.
We want it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Oh, we look great. We look like we're in love. We do everything that people that are in love look like they do. But underneath it all, I'm just scared you're gonna leave, or I'm scared what it's gonna look like to my family if you leave. Most people they can't look at their partner and really be like, yo, like this is it. You know, they just justify everything they've done to make it look that way.
Talk about it.
You know, so
Marquez, you over here preaching?
Man,
let me tell you something.
I'm learning.
Man, when I say that is so freaking true, is that we live so much for other people of how it looks. Oh, you got you a good man. Yeah, because he did this right here for me, and he did this for me, and he did this. Oh, you got you a good one. They don't wake up to this dude. They don't know nothing. All they see are the optics of your relationship, but they don't know the day-to-day. Or you have somebody, and then it makes you really give you pause for the cause to break up with said person because your mama thinks, see, that's a good one. You got you a good one. Don't you mess this up. And you be like, you just see her every other Sunday when we stop by the house, but you don't know this person. And they be like, you got to, and then if the relationship were to go sour, Marquez, what did you do? What you do this time? What did you do? You like, you don't realize what I've been dealing with this whole time. I just haven't been divulging this information to you. So that is true. So have you had somebody in your life that mom or dad or your homies was like, say, man, you messed that up. That was a good woman.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't had to tell me because I've messed up plenty of good women. They haven't had to tell me nothing. You know, like I know what it is. You know, but I mean, but that's really what it is though. You know, it's funny. I believe so most people have like this idea of what they want. And just like those boxes you want people to check and a certain everybody has like that idea, that dream. But the crazy part about it is that most people, if they got that with exactly what they're looking for, they would mess it up because they're not even the person that they're supposed to be to sustain that. You know, I call it stealing from the universe. You know, I read that in the book. I didn't pen that. But it's, you stealing, and you gonna have to give it back. You're not gonna be able to sustain that. You want this person to do A, B, C, D, E. You know what I'm saying? And most people, they look at themselves and say, "Well, I do A, B, C, D," but they lying to themselves. You know, they telling like, "Well, nah, you're not." You know what I'm saying? You got to do that work. Have you done that work? Have you really done it? You know what I mean? Have you really like kind of like stripped it all down and really like even examine where some of the ideas and the beliefs come from, where they just planted in you? You just said, you know, your family's like, well, don't mess that up. You got a good one. Well, programming is real. You know what I'm saying? That will really give you an internal battle when someone you respect or care about tells you something specifically and you feel something totally different. You know what I mean? So we grow up with that and not even knowing that we feel differently until we actually ask ourselves like, man, do I really feel that way? Or did my parents just tell me that? You know, who's speaking? You be 35 years old, somebody talking to you, and when you say something back, who said that? Did my parents say that? Or was that me? You know, so
that's real, man. That's so real. He said stealing from the universe. Yeah. You remember what book that came from?
That's from Yamas and the Yamas. It's a book about like the the spiritual and mental side of yoga before it became westernized and became into a physical thing. So yeah, it's like 10 principles, and one of them is stealing from the universe, and how you have to give those things back when you're not ready for it. When we all do that. Try to grab something that we're not ready for, and we got to give it back very quickly usually.
So when you watched yourself steal from the universe and you got these quote unquote good women, how did you feel, or did you feel anything in the process when you were mishandling this gift?
Yeah, well, I mean, more. I didn't really feel anything of that nature because I knew I wasn't prepared, and I knew I wasn't ready for what this person might be ready for. But at the time, like especially at that age, younger, you're not really even thinking like that.
Nah.
You got an agenda and you want to get to whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Which I mean, women do also. Women have their agenda when they meet a man a lot of times,
Yeah.
And so you're not even thinking like that. Just that after it's over, it took me a minute to start to realize like where things went wrong on my end, on multiple levels. Where did it, because a lot of times it's just very easy to just be like, well, this person didn't do this. You can just pick it apart and then think, when I meet the next person that does this and this, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
And I had to continue to go through that until like life just kind of pin you in a corner and be like, nah, look, you got some work to do. It ain't meeting the right person. It's you ain't the right person yet.
So during your days of playing international basketball, of course, you and I had conversations with this. The access to women were bountiful and plentiful, and you had easy access to women. Did this shape your view of women?
Oh man, well it has to. It's my experience,
right?
It has to. But that wasn't always my life. So it's both. I was not always a person that had all this access to women. Now I always was pretty relatable. So even without some of the status stuff, I always was, I think, good with people in general.
Right.
Men and women, I know how to act around people. So it generally gets people pretty close to me. The status just amplifies it. Or I would say gives you access to a just more in a different caliber of people.
So what's the craziest thing a woman ever did? Just total stranger, just what have they done to get your attention?
That's correct. I had to really think, but one story in particular did come up. But this wasn't overseas. This was here. And I was walking out of a club, and like I made eye contact with this girl, and pretty deep eye contact. She's walking in, I'm leaving, and it was pretty interesting. And she just walks up to me and kisses me, straight up. And I know that sounds so wild, and I definitely don't advise people to just be kissing strangers, but it wasn't all the way out of place. I was kind of like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. I wouldn't necessarily advise or want that, but she wasn't all the way out of line for doing it.
Why not? Because you called over there with your eyes?
Because communication is going on beneath the surface more than it is verbally.
There it is.
So it was, it really wasn't, she wasn't wrong to do it. Like the way it kind of unfolded.
What would you think? What was your inner monologue when you were staring at her?
Just like, I just trying to, just make sure I get her attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in my head. I'm just like, yo, yes, like, you know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
She
like,
walked straight up.
She did. She took and respect to her for that, because, like I said, I wouldn't advise this. Don't do that. Don't catch a case on behalf of me. But she was. She had some balls to do that. I was like, damn, like she walking in her truth. Like, she was like, I saw it. Yes, like I know what it is. Like I was like, okay, like you know what I'm saying.
And then what? You get a phone number after?
Yeah, I got a phone number.
And then what else happened?
I don't think nothing really happened after that.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, I don't think I never was. She was going in, I was leaving, and I don't think we never. You know how I do. The next day you got stuff to do and all that stuff. So she was. Yeah, I don't think we never even linked up.
So it just fizzled out from that moment.
That's our only experience with each other. Well, maybe that was all our experience was supposed to be. It was just that moment for me to take that and come to this podcast with it. No, it was real. That was dope.
Just walk straight up to you and kissed you.
I probably got some. You gotta let me think about it.
I know you got some stories.
Yeah, I do.
You got some stories. You got some old funny stories. Even that day we was talking about leaving the Cowboy Stadium. The girls, there's some girls in the whatever. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but I know I got a better story than that.
All right, cool. Here we go.
So I think the first time, and this is like starting to get introduced to the lifestyle a little bit.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I was in Vegas. I was working out, getting ready for the NBA draft, And it was a pool party. I think it was in rehab. Rehab was going crazy at the time. This might have been 2011. And so I'm at the pool party. We kicking it. It's a few of us draft prospects and stuff. And like, so this girl comes by, like literally, like I had not even seen her. No eye contact, nothing. She like walks up straight to me, like grabs it, whole thing. Hands me her room key and was like, gives me the room number. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, like no words, no nothing. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? That's all like ego going crazy. I'm like, I'm the man in there. You can't tell me nothing. Like, you can't tell me anything. Like,
was she bad?
She was bad. Like, she was bad. Yeah, she was bad. Like she was bad. And
she just gave you her room key and just walked off.
And hit me with the like, you know what I'm saying? Like she was staying at the hotel.
And just walked off.
And like straight up, like grabbed it, like hit me with the room key, hit me with the number. I mean the room number, no phone number, no nothing. Like walked off, and I'm sure like she knew like I'm gonna see you again, come back around. You know what I'm saying? But it was probably her trying to like work her little move, trying to look cool, trying to look player. You know what I'm saying? Like that was her. Like yeah, I'm gonna do something. You know. So yeah, I mean, but it was.
Did you go to that room?
Nah, I ain't go to the room because probably just got too drunk. That you know, what I'm saying? It's a day party. I probably wasn't even. I don't even know what happened to that key. That was yeah. But just I mean. I don't know, man.
You don't remember that day. You don't remember what happened.
I don't even remember it, man. But don't. I mean, I was 23. I was living.
I bet you was.
I was living at that time. Yeah. So
he said, just gave him the key and walked off.
Yeah, but I mean, the crazy thing about some of this stuff, and once again, everyone's reality is different.
Yeah.
Because some people like you maybe can't fathom those type of things, but it's. I don't know, energy is strong. You'll be surprised what people would do just off a little bit of energy, you know what I mean? And
talk about it, because I see a lot of times people say they want, they call it chemistry. We have chemistry. But talk about that, because that's extremely important. And of course, chemistry can't keep you together forever, but that initial attraction, that initial vibe that you're feeling, we call it vibes. I like the vibe around this person. Mm-hmm. But talk about that, because you're really big into that. So speak on it.
Yeah, so the energy of a person when you meet them, it speaks before any of their words. I think the communication is so under the surface, when you're talking to your meter, even. And so a lot of times I think the words get in the way. The words, they get in the way of the authentic communication. And so I would say it is very important early. And I think sometimes we ignore those things, or we make them to be what we want them to be so we can fit this person to this box, because the person could meet every criteria that you want in a romantic partner. Yeah. But just the underneath the surface communication, the actual energy, what you're actually getting from this person doesn't vibe at all with what you and people will ignore all of that perfect communication for all the unclear, all because of the optics. So,
that's good.
Yeah, I just try to make sure that I pay attention to those things, and also not try to box people in. You meet people, and so you want a certain thing, so you basically take this person and try to fit them into something when this person could be meant for a totally different part of your life if you just actually paid attention to what was going on. And what the real communication is that, we want, as a dude, we're physically attracted to this woman, so we want this. Well, she just might be like the dopest friend ever. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's just like, and maybe that changes over time as you evolve. This person could be a friend, or they could become more, or they could be, all these different things as you evolve, instead of trying to fit things into this future box that is pretty much imaginary.
Yeah. Which we talked about. Before we started this podcast, we was talking about our homegirl Denise and how she's just the coolest person ever. But she's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. But she is so cool. Like I said, I've never met anybody that real and authentic and just lit. Like she just so doggone cool. So definitely shout out to her. But because that's what you're talking about, you meet somebody like, dang, this is just gonna be the coolest friend I've ever had, because she's such a cool person. When we talk about your road to this, I want to go back to where you say that you don't want a traditional marriage, but I don't know if you quite said it. Do you want a marriage as long as it's tailor-made to what you and your spouse wants it to look like, or are you wanting some type of life partnership in lieu of marriage?
Yeah. Well, the reason why that's so tough for me to answer is because one of the things on my journey I've been trying to do is strip labels. I've been trying to not live as black and white and live more in the grays. I think what I'm learning is that all of my most intelligent decisions have come in the grays. My most, and when I live black and white, based upon these rules I have in my life, I always ignore my intuition. So I'm trying to strip these labels. Now, if you say, do I want a marriage? What a marriage is supposed to represent.
What you want it to represent. I'm talking about just the contract, sign paperwork.
Yeah. So
you're an entrepreneur, so you understand contracts.
Yeah. So I'm still unpacking that.
Okay.
Right now.
That's fair.
And the reason why is because of this. If me and this person, we really know underneath it all that we really want to walk lockstep together, like we really want to do that. In my opinion, the actual contract of marriage is a formality. It should be just like, okay, not like my aim is to find someone to marry. No, my aim is, let me not even say it, that's not even my aim. I think it would be an awesome experience to have, but I could take my life in all kind of directions that it's not supposed to go, chasing this idea.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. I believe that's an amazing experience that I would like to have, but if it's not for me, or maybe it's just so simple as I just need to keep going on the inner journey, and all of that will find me. Every last piece of it, everything I need, it'll be so. That's my idea. So you say, do I want that? I think that would be an amazing experience. I would enjoy that. I would hope that that's a part of
your journey,
my journey. I would hope that. So.
Do you feel like when you say it's hard for you to say this, do you feel that there's still fear attached to making a decree to say, yes, I want to be married? Do you feel like there's fear in that because you go, because every time you hear that, do you go, I don't want this? Like naturally when somebody says, do you want to be married? I don't want to be the tradition. It's like, I just asked you want to be married. Yeah. And then we say what we don't want.
Yeah, so easily, facts. No, you're right. And I guess part of it is a little projection on my part on what I believe people are going to take from that statement.
Right, exactly. You're already making that analysis on this.
Exactly, 100%. That's a projection on my part for sure, as I unpack it. But I believe it would be an amazing
because when
experience.
I say about people, one thing I found out in marriage and stuff as I actually become intentional about manifesting my future wifey is that people have all types of marriages. They got polyamorous marriages, they got swinger marriages, they got homosexual marriages. Like whatever you decide that you want out of marriage, people have been a la carte and whatever they want and saying this is what's going to work for me. And so, but I wouldn't take what everybody else is doing and what they consider marriage being to say I don't want it because I'm extracting one type of marriage and saying I don't want that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And so that's the thing I want to always give myself permission to manifest exactly what I desire, as like you keep saying, keep doing the work on myself so that whoever I am and becoming, that I manifest that, instead of saying, because I was married before. I was married 2 weeks shy of 10 years. I was married for almost 10 years and began to build a marriage that I just didn't want. And I was like, I said, I don't want this, which ultimately led to a divorce. But as I began to look back on those past decisions that I made, I said, you know what? I have the power right now to truly, and I'm gonna be honest with you, you hit a lot of key points when you said that we look at marriage in a certain way and we conform to that ideology. And I never ever understood that. I was 28 years old, so I didn't know what I was like, well, marriage has to be like this. And then day one of marriage, when it wasn't that, I just was like, what did I just do? Like, what in the world is this? And I didn't have the maturity to stop and go, come on, can we build this the way we want to? Like, what do you see? What do you want out of this marriage? Because this is what I want. And let's form that. Let's strip ourselves from even my Christian upbringing and go, listen, I hear what the word says. I understand that. But what does that look like walked out as a couple? You know what I'm saying? Because the Bible speaks a lot about marriage, but everybody can grab and extract what they want out of that instead of saying, okay, what do you want? What does it mean? What does this mean to you? And what do you need of me so I can be the best version of myself for you? And then you can go ahead. But first of all, be the best version of myself for myself. And then you reap the benefits of it and vice versa.
Very much so.
But at 28 years old, I didn't know all that.
And just what brings the most harmony. I don't want marriage at the expense of harmony. I want harmony. And then and fit everything that's supposed to come to me from that, it will seamlessly fit, you know. And so I don't want it, let me not even say marriage. I don't want my ideas at the expense of harmony. And that means a lot of different things. That's the job you think you want. That's the car, the crib you think you want. You know, maybe you can afford this house, and then you buy it, and then you're stretching yourself thin. So it's at the expense of harmony, because this is the idea. So that's more what I mean. Not, you know, that I want harmony first. You know, I want peace and harmony, and everything else will come from that without me having to be like, well, I want this, so I'm gonna make sure I go get that.
Yes.
You know?
That's fair. That's fair. So the inner work, what's your process? Is your process a very casual approach to healing, where you're just going through, reading books, finding stuff organically through conversations that you're having with individuals, and then taking that food for thought and evolving? Or are you doing something more intentional, where you have a therapist and you're actively seeking out books to help for healing and growth or whatnot? What is your process like?
I'm somewhere in between what you just said. I believe that, I mean, I'm very casual in general in life. So I'm very graceful with myself, and I try to be very graceful with others. So even I just try to let life play itself out and use all of it as learning. You know, even this conversation and everything. So, I mean, obviously the books are a major part of what I do, and then just having these conversations and unpacking certain things. I have never been to therapy. I believe, and I could be wrong, I'm not educated on this enough to say, I believe that a therapist is probably just going to help guide you to unpack certain things, which I think that everybody I'm talking to, every book I've read is doing exactly that. Yeah. You know, I don't think they can actually get deeper for you. I think that, you know, I think only the work can do that if you're committed to it. And you could get that a multitude of places, including therapy. Right. I feel like I've been so intentional about it that I'm not sure if right now that they're going to help me, guide me to anything that is not being helped by having these conversations with you and having conversations with others and my family and unpacking all these different things.
Well, you're on point with that. Why I believe that therapy is 100% important. I've had moments where I've spoken to therapists and unpacked some stuff, but my greatest therapy has been this podcast, because I said this podcast, but I was intentional in doing this podcast for that. I said in the opening video, I say, journey with me as I discover, uncover, and recover love. But in that same process, I began to unpack, being transparent, talked about the infidelity in my past marriage, talked about some of the choices I made, talked about the fact that even last year, having sex outside of marriage, and then making a vow back in December I took a vow of abstinence, where I said I'm not going to have sex until I get married again. So all of this is like, this is my own personal journey that the world gets to witness, truly my process before the promise. But to be real with myself, you know, to say this didn't work for me when I did this. I stepped outside of my marriage when this was broken in me. I looked for outer healing through other women when I wasn't being fulfilled emotionally in my marriage. This is the choices I make. How did that work out for me, Lateris? It didn't work out. I broke a woman's heart. I mishandled her. I ended up getting a divorce. Now we still cool to this very day, because I asked God, you said something powerful that I took as I was going through my divorce. I said, God, teach me how to divorce her with grace. And you said I handle people with grace. I give myself the same level of grace of evolution or whatnot. But that's exactly what I did. So as I go through this journey, it's the same level of grace. And so one of the things I commend you on is being real with yourself enough and open with yourself enough to go on that journey and say, you know what? You know, 4 months ago, I was thinking. 4 months ago, I was dying laughing at you.
It's the same, but it's
my boy is a savage.
But it's not. But I'm talking. But in that specific moment, like I'm talking, like entertain the stories I've had and the life I've lived. You know what I'm saying? Less than this mindset I'm in right now. This is the same. It's just now I'm a little more clear on it. And when we're in those comments, obviously, you know, Denise crazy too. Yeah. So we talk, you know, and we talking crazy about these experiences that I've had. And,
you had my head hurt. I had a whole headache after that.
It was a fun conversation for sure. And you draw upon so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in a setting like that where we kind of like everyone's kind of back and forth with it, and you know what I'm saying? Less than in this space, it's like, no, talk about like what's really going on inside.
And poor Jasmine was looking like this. She's like, oh my God. She just moved here. She's just so nice and green, and she's like, I don't know The people are this. I'm from this small little town. This is different for me.
Well, you know, we can talk that talk though. You know, we can talk multiple languages for sure.
She was just looking so crazy. She said, I don't understand. I don't understand. It was hilarious. But so when you look at it, are you dating now?
Right now, it's completely a self journey right now. And I think it's, you mentioned something that I thought was dope, was about the vow of abstinence. I've been really I feel like the next step of my journey is probably celibacy.
Really?
I've been feeling like that for a little while. And I think that just to the depths right now, like my main focus is how deep inside myself I can go, you know? And so even like some fasting and there's a few different like little things I want to do, but I'm sure.
So hold on. When you say abstinence, a lot of times we say celibacy and people interchange those words. So celibacy, just so for people, celibacy is when you take a vow, mostly priests take that, to never ever have sex or get married ever. Okay. And so abstinence is literally to abstain from anything. I can take an abstinence from my podcast and for a lot of time. So when you take this abstinence journey, are you talking about until you get married or until you get into a serious relationship?
So what I meant when I said that actually was, so even, and I confuse the words, is so no masturbation, no sex.
Yep.
You know, nothing. Yeah, exactly. That's what
until
standing from that, and I don't know. I got to put more thought to it. Yeah, you know, I just really at the end of the day, it's something that I know is like the next step. I can feel it without, you know. Sometimes we have to logically come to something, but like underneath it all, I'm like, I know that's the next step. Yeah, and I've been feeling like that. You know,
that's how I was feeling before I went to that journey. I kept saying, I want to be better. I want to be better. And then God was like, give me that. And I was like, I want to be that better. I want to be better. I want to be better. I want to be better. God said, give me that. And I said, how's that gonna make me better? He said, when you operate in this is the highest level that a man can operate in self-control. Because you gotta think about, like, we can have sex with a woman and not think twice about it. I know I can. I don't know if that's your testimony.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my life, I've professional athlete, businessman. I've exercised this level of discipline in so many parts of my life, except that one.
Except that one.
You know, and so one thing I have found too is that, you know, you could walk a certain walk, talk a certain talk, whatever. But when you're not all the way congruent on every level, it's always like this little hint of doubt, this little bit of hint of just inauthenticity. Yeah. And so I'm trying to correct that. You know, I want like the weight of my truth to hit people hard when they around me, and I got to correct those things. So just exercising a level of discipline, and it's crazy because my level of discipline when it comes to women is much different than it was. It's not all the way what I want it to be because this is a journey and I'm learning. Of course. But it's unbelievable. Like, I mean, just how I view women, not objectifying women, being able to sit down with a woman and just have a conversation and not want anything from her. There it is. You know, those type of things. So as I continue, I just feel like that's the next, just to continue to test that discipline. Yes. And so I know it's coming.
So you said you feel that. How long have you been feeling that?
I mean, probably like the thoughts probably starting like about like half a year ago. But a lot of times it's hard to hear voices, you know, and like pay attention to them. We ignore them for everything going on around us. And sometimes we got other stuff. It might not even connect. It could just be, I'm on this business stuff. And so I can't even sift through these.
Focus on that right now.
Yeah, so as I kind of sit down with myself and I'm like, I just ask myself the question like, okay, that discipline, like, what would be the greatest test of it, you know? And so at this point, it won't be hard, you know. It won't be hard, you know. It's habits and it's, you know, as far as like what I really want, I mean, it ain't gonna be hard. You know? He said it ain't gonna be hard. But as far as like just the habits and the conditioning, you know, that's all it really is. But I'm battling it and I'm learning it on every other part of my life. So I'm really like just applying it now. Like I said, we pick and choose when we want to apply certain things. Yes. So now I'm just doing like this full sweep of my life to apply all of the stuff I'm talking about and not pick and choose when I want to apply it. You know?
What are you working on right now? What big project are you working on right now?
Right now, you talking business-wise?
Business-wise,
we're working on a pretty big apartment development in Bishop Arts, 200-unit apartment development. So I don't know if we're capital raising. So
come bring some of them bread.
$5 million is the capital raise. If anybody would, but
yeah,
shameless self plug.
No,
but that's what we're working on right now.
And Bishop Arts is a very lucrative area. So you should get a great return on your investment.
Yeah, definitely. Building a few different other companies right now. A Legacy Wealth Management Group, we're building that as a hedge fund and try to educate athletes on what to do with their money and not just feel like, they need to just go get someone that can just invest it for them. We want to help invest it and actually educate you on the process. So.
The reason why I asked you that is because I wanted to know, like, even when you look at yourself, you talk about evolution and the next level and all that type of stuff by you being an entrepreneur and how you look at projects. Do you feel like you're project based? Do you look at a project and be like, I got to accomplish this project? And then do you look at yourself as that same project that has to grow and evolve and elevate?
That's a great question. It's also connected. Because my entire life has been about accomplishments, achievements, and I'm literally trying to shed that.
Yeah.
And because every accomplishment or achievement that I've ever had up until this point, if I really look back at it, what I gained most from it was all the experience I got from it. Not the actual, it's not, I played professional basketball.
Yeah.
It was everything that it taught me. I don't carry around that I play professional basketball. I carry around the perseverance and the resiliency and the communication skills. That's what I carry with me. That's when people meet me, they don't meet a professional basketball player. They met someone that's been sharpened by it. So whether I get it or I don't or complete a project doesn't even at this point really even matter. Optics is what it looks like. The general public is like, yo, you got it done, you did it, you're great. And if you fell just short, you're not great. So now I'm trying to I don't need to go complete this project. I just need to take the next step on the journey. And then wherever it goes, because that could take me somewhere completely different than thought I was going to go.
Yeah.
So I have to be open to those things. God could be calling me this way, and I'm trying to go here because I want to get this. No. Once again, no harmony. I get there, but it's no harmony. So I'm open to it. The process is going to teach me everything I need. And that's the same thing with me personally right now. The process is teaching me everything I need to know, so I'll just continue, take the next step. I don't need to see all of the end of it.
When I see guys like you, I'll start seeing the purpose partner that God may have designed for you to do life with. And so I think that, like, when I'm looking at you and I'm going, what kind of woman would be great for him? And it's a trip because it's going to be a type of woman that stretches you, that makes you it's going to challenge some of your ideology, but it's going to fill the void that you don't even know you have. It's the same with me, is that I want a purpose partner that we walk in harmony together, but she also strengthens me in areas that I don't even know I'm deficient in.
For sure.
Yeah, and I'll be like, gosh, I didn't even know I really needed that, but thank you, babe. Like I needed that
for sure. And it comes. I believe also that once again, a lot of those things typically happen so organically.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And I reference the book The Alchemist a lot because of everything that I've been through and everything I'm going through currently. Sometimes it's not about finding that partner. It's about when you come back full circle, you see everything that was already around you in a totally different light. So you could be everything you need is already right in front of you.
Yeah.
You just can't see it with the right lens because you got, what I'm saying? So it could be that, or it could just be that, like, literally I have it all in front of me, or or people I've met and the women I've dealt with, or, these type of things, like, it's already there. You just gotta, you not right yet. So you can't even necessarily see it, possibly, and I'm open to all of those possibilities.
Me too. Me too. And that's the beauty of the journey and the process before the promise. How can people connect with you? Do you have a website? I know your IG. I'll drop that over here on the screen. What's your IG?
Quez Haynes, QUEZHAYNES _0 is my IG.
_0. What are some things you like posted on your social media? When people follow you on social media, what kind of inside look would they get from you?
I'm not super active right now, just for obvious reasons. I'm even thinking about deleting it all again. Got rid of it for a while, but
why? Hold on, first, why would you delete it?
Well, right now I'm just on this mission to have my voice being the loudest one, and like once again, kind of stripping the conditioning, the influence, and the voices in your head so many times. And so when I didn't have social media for, I think about close to a year, it was just like the time where like my voice was just the loudest and everything. So sometimes you don't realize when things are planted in you. You're not really always sure. You're like, damn, where did that come from? Until it's no longer there, and then you don't even think about it or you don't even want it. So I'm thinking about that again, possibly. I'm not sure. I haven't decided, but right now, if I'm posting, it's typically going to be something business related or just something like aesthetically pleasing. I like music, and I like, just like you said, vibes. And, I just bought a bunch of plants, and so I'm like taking pictures of them all the time. You know what I'm saying? So
you take a picture of your plants.
Yeah, it's going to be some of that. Like right now, it's going to be something business related. And then I play ball, so I talk about that a lot too.
He said he does photographs of his plants.
Of anything that's aesthetically pleasing, it could
so
be anything.
So let's talk about that real quick before we let the people go. What do plants do for you?
Well, they say that plants are the most conscious things on the planet, the most conscious beings.
Yep.
And so immediately when I got my first one, you could feel the life in the room. There's life in your actual house, And so now, just as I continue to just dive in on my journey, my path, you could. Sometimes these things just come to me. I woke up and it was like, yo, you need some more plants in here. Like you need it, you could feel it. They purify the air, of course.
Yep.
I had to get plants that were conducive to my lifestyle. I have a lot of natural light in my crib, and I travel a lot. So I need something I ain't got to water that much that can sit in the sun, So, but yeah, right. I just that energy. It's a little more energy, good energy, positive energy.
It's a movie that I'm writing, and in the movie, I talk about plants, and the cinematography is going to be showing a plant and all that, and the evolution of a plant as I parallel it to my own life. That's why when you said that, I was like, let's talk about these plants.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. So listen, man, Marquez, thank you for showing up on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. You showed up as your authentic and lit self. Anything else you want to leave before we tell everybody goodbye?
No, first, salute to you in your journey, what you're talking about. I'm listening to you and the steps that you've taken, and I just feel like there's so many different ideologies of so many things, but anytime you're being intentional and curious and trying to grow, you'll find everything you need.
It is.
There's no judgment and nothing when a person is being intentional, and it'll all come to them. So I salute everything you're doing. It sharpened me. It helped me grow. So this is awesome. This is a great format, and salute to you.
Well, you're gonna get a lot of love from our listeners because they love it when a guy shows up and they're authentic and they're able to glean some information and some insight. I like talking to people from different opinions and thought processes because, like I said, I don't believe that anybody knows everything. So I glean information from you. Like I said, what I gleaned most from you back in December is just the sheer audacity that you had of being authentic. So I like that. I like it when people just be real. It's like I love that type of stuff. So I love transparency. So thank you for coming to the Dear Future Wifey podcast and lending us your truth. And y'all give it up for my boy Marquez Haynes, y'all.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Discover, uncover, recover love with the new Dear Future collection. The journey starts from within. Let your inner thoughts find freedom on the pages of this richly hued Dear Future Blue Sapphire Edition genuine leather journal. It features a cross-stitched spine and luxurious cording to bind your deepest insights. A great accompaniment is the Dear Future Luxury Bamboo Fountain Pen. There's nothing more intentional than the writing process of a fountain pen. This is an elegant writing work of art. Join the thriving community of fountain pen enthusiasts and purchase one today. These exclusive items and more are available at dearfuturewifey.com.
I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I really like talking to my brother, so hopefully you received a lot of value out of this episode. Dear Future Wifey, my mom turned 70 on March the 22nd. Happy birthday, Mama. In honor of Women's History Month, I would be remiss if I didn't celebrate the woman who labored, not only physically to bring me into the earth, but also spiritually to birth the man of God I am today. She's a remarkable country old woman who reared 5 children. I'm the middle child. Through her example, I fostered a prayer life and understood the importance of maintaining a personal relationship with Jesus. During my wayward teenage years, she anointed my pillow with holy oil as covering for me not to stray too far from the Lord and protection for my life to be spared while in those streets. I first learned God was a snitch by my mom always being tipped off before I committed the offense. She would often tell me, Terry, what happens in the dark comes to the light. God never failed to reveal my wrongdoings. I remember telling myself, when I have kids, I want to be just like my mama so they won't get away with nothing. So at 18 years old, after the birth of my daughter, Lataria, I surrendered my life to the Lord. I was a Christian growing up, but I needed to rededicate my life to Him as an adult. I almost died when I was born. Though I was wheezing, the doctor advised my mom that it would subside in a few days. A couple of weeks after my birth, my mom felt something wasn't right with my breathing, so she took me back to the hospital and pleaded with the doctor to run a test on me. I had bronchial pneumonia. My lungs were the width of the tip of a ballpoint pen. She was told if she had waited any longer, I would have died. See, that's the power of a praying mama. She has no degrees or abbreviations behind her name, yet her power is unmatched. Her meek temperament changed the trajectory of my life. As a small token of my appreciation in 2018, I moved her into a nice apartment and vowed to pay all of her bills until God calls her home. I hope that's okay with you. Your future hubby.
Thank you for listening to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.